What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Taylor. If you're not, of course, welcome back. Before we get started, just go ahead and click the subscribe button, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, all that good stuff. You get to keep up to date with everything I'm talking about and everything that is going on. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, as you can tell by today's title, we are going to be talking about the LSAT and pretty much everything that goes into the LSAT, studying, preparing, cost, when to take it, how to take it, whatever you can name, really. That's what we're going to be talking about, and I'm really excited about it. Disclaimer, I am not the LSAT guru. I am not queen of LSATs, okay? I didn't get a 180. All right, I don't know everything about the LSAT. I don't teach people about the LSAT. I don't. But what I can tell you and what I can do is basically tell you about my experience, what worked for me, what may work for you, some suggestions that could also work for you, so on and so forth. That's what I can give you. So please don't think that I'm telling you, here's all the answers, you're gonna get a perfect score. You know, that's not how it works. That's not what I do. I promise you, that's not what I do. But I wanna help the best that I can. So without further ado, let's go. So my first tip is this. Plan on taking the LSAT at least twice. I believe you can take it up to 5 times within a year. I don't suggest taking it 5 times. It is exhausting, but you do want to get that great score. So don't do like me and think you could take it 1 time and be great, unless you take it once and you get a 180 or 179, whatever. Unless that's you, plan on taking it more than 1 time. I took it twice. I would say take it at least twice, maybe 3 times if you can, and hopefully your score will go up each time. That also means knowing when you want to apply. So if you're looking to apply next fall or the fall after, you have to allot yourself the time frame to take these tests. There's tests almost every month, but plan on taking, you know, maybe, and not back to back. Give yourself some space in between. Plan to take like the November test and then the January test and then the whatever test is after that, so March, or you know, and plan that, and then that will be your test for the next cycle. My next tip is that you do have to allot the time to study. That studying for the LSAT really is something you have to put your all into. It's its own beast in itself, and you really, I don't think you really realize that until you start to study. So forewarning you, that is what it is. I would allot an hour minimum. Don't burn out. Don't try to study like 6 hours a day. But coming from somebody that did work 40 hours a week and was studying for the LSAT and trying to work out and be healthy and do this and do that, trying to do it all, at least an hour every single day to study. And then on the weekends, I still work the weekends, just shorter hours, but I would allot on the weekends or my off days 3 to 5 hours where I would just sit at Starbucks or a library and study or take a test. So that transitions into my next tip of taking practice tests, a minimum of once a week. If you can take them twice a week, that would be ideal, but plan on taking at least once. I took one every Sunday. That was my plan. Also, a quick rewind, before you even start studying and taking these practice tests, make sure you take a diagnostic test. That is the most important thing, because that is your baseline. That's going to tell you where you're starting at. So take that diagnostic, know what your starting score is. It might be a 147, it might be a 155, it could be anything, but that is your baseline score. So as you study, as you take these practice tests, your scores should be progressing from there. You may see yourself fluctuating a little bit. That just means you need to understand the material better. Now to throw in some tips about how to study. So I will say this, if you can afford a prep course a tutor, something hands-on where somebody is teaching you and helping you through these problems, I highly suggest that. I highly suggest investing in that if you are able to. For me, I did not do that. I did start by self-studying, and I realized that that wasn't enough. That wasn't going to get me the score that I needed. I also didn't have the time frame for when I wanted to apply to start a prep course or get with a tutor. So what I did was this. My biggest, literally the one thing, I should be a spokesperson. Somebody reach out to these people and tell them to pay me for sponsorship because I direct everybody in this location. But the biggest turning point for me was listening to the Thinking LSAT podcast and working with the LSAT Demon. Okay, so what are these things, you may ask? I found them when doing internet searches of things that would help me with the LSAT. I started getting into podcasts, and the Thinking LSAT podcast is ran by two guys, Ben and Nathan, yes. And basically they talk about the LSAT, they talk about the admissions process, they talk about everything about getting into law school is what they talk about. And I knew nothing about it, and they really gave me so much information. They have hundreds of episodes, and it's all they talk about. They read people's personal statements, they critique them, they give you a lot of advice, they give you tips you can write into them. But they talk about everything that has to do with the LSAT. It really is mind-blowing. It's truly mind-blowing. So I started listening to that podcast. I also work out often. Well, I was at the time. Anyway, and so I would listen to the podcast and work out. I would get on the stairs for 30 minutes or so, listen to it. Every episode's about an hour long. I would listen to it in the car, driving to work, anytime where I could listen to a podcast, I listened to this podcast, and it was so helpful. That partners with the LSAT Demon, which is Ben and Nathan. They created this. It's a website. You subscribe to it, so it is $90 a month. I highly recommend using it for as many months as possible if you can afford that, because that was the game changer in my studying. The LSAT Demon, it gives you pretty much all the study materials. One, it's digital. So the LSAT is digital. That was important for me because I was studying from study books like these right here. And these were good. I bought these books right away. They were good. I don't knock them at all. However, I was taking tests on pen and paper, and that wasn't really getting me ready to take the test digitally. It wasn't as helpful as the LSAT Demon was, so toss that. In the LSAT Demon, there are practice questions for every single section. There are practice tests. There are drill questions. So drill questions basically are, say you have logical reasoning questions, and it'll just give you a question, just the question, and you can drill, which means you can go quickly by answering it. It gives you a response, and you drill it. And I would do that. You could do it on your phone. You could do it on your computer. I would literally sit on the train. Where's my phone? I would sit on the train and just drill as much as I could on the train. Like that's what, the repetition is what really got it into my brain. They also have different times where they'll do proctored tests on the website, where it's an actual proctored, like there's somebody proctoring it inside of the interweb, whatever. They'll do those too. So it's really helpful. And then I think the biggest thing about the LSAT Demon for me was the explanations. So what I learned during studying is that it's not just about studying. It's about studying, doing the problems, taking the test, and the review. The review is so important because you need to know why you're getting answers wrong and why you're getting answers right. If you don't know why, you're just winging it every single time, and you're not going to get any better because you're not learning the test. The important thing is learning the test, and that's what I needed to learn. I do really well in school because I'm given content and I memorize the content and I move on. I have never done as well in standardized testing, and that's because there is no content to learn. You can't memorize anything. You have to actually learn how to solve the problems, because every problem is different. It has different content, but there's ways to solve it. So that really helps with the LSAT Demon, because every single question, whether you get it right or wrong, there's an explanation, and it's either an actual video of them talking. It'll be a video from maybe a class that they've tutored, and they'll talk through it and they write it out on the board and everything, or it's written and it explains why every answer is right and why every answer is wrong, and that really helps you learn how to progress through the test. That's major. My next tip is going to be for when you're taking the practice test, having some sort of routine. You want it to be as much like game day. You want it to be just like the day you're actually going to take the test, as close as possible. So if you are working out every time, like doing a workout before you take the test, make sure you're doing that on test day too. Do that before every practice test. If that's what gets you ready to go, do that. For me personally, every time I took a practice test or even was studying, I drank a matcha. I drank a matcha green tea from Starbucks every single time. And on test day, I got a matcha green tea before I took the test. And game changer. I'm telling you. You want to get in the habit of what test day is going to be like. That way when test day comes, your nerves do not overpower you. You're already in a routine. You know this routine. You've done it every single week. This is what you do on test day. This is what you eat before you take a test. It's always this. It's always that. You snack on this. When you take the practice test, granted, it's a little bit different. If you're still doing the 5 sections, the 3 sections with the LSAT Flex, a little bit different. But if you're taking the 5-section test and you have that 15-minute break, take that break during your practice test. Do not keep going. Do not try to break it up. Do it the same way that it's going to be on test day, because perfect practice makes for perfect play, right? That's the saying. I'm an athlete. I should know what it is. I should know what this is. No. Practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So if you want to be perfect on game day, you need to practice perfect. And this is going to be drilling this routine into your head on how you're going to take the test and what you're going to do on test day, and nothing's going to distract you at all. The more prepared you feel, the better you will do. So granted, there are going to be nerves regardless on the first take, but the more prepared you feel, the better it gets. So I think that also helped me the second time around, because I wasn't as nervous as the first time. I was clear-headed and could focus on what I was doing. So now the LSAT itself. It does cost $200 every time you take it. So that is something else you need to prepare for, and knowing that that's how much it's going to cost when you take the test. It costs a lot to go to law school. It does. It really does. So know that. Be prepared for everything you need on the LSAT, which is taking a picture of yourself with a plain background. And basically you'll do everything through LSAC. It's LSAC, but I like saying LSAC. I'm sorry. LSAC.org. It'll set you up with everything. That's where you'll register for the test closest to you. It'll give you all the information. It will give you your ticket. It will tell you if there's anything changing on test day. Pretty much all you need to know about the test will be given to you through lsac.org. You also have an L number. That L number is important, so write it down somewhere. It's always going to be on the LSAC page, but that's also important. You should know that. When test day comes, it's also going to tell you what you need to have with you on test day. So that's typically your ID, your photo ID, pencils. You can bring highlighters, I believe. You don't need them because it's digital, unless that's your own thing. But pencils, snacks, so it has to be like a dry, small snack, and you can bring a water bottle, and it all has to fit in like a gallon Ziploc bag. So your ticket will be in there, your pencils, everything. You cannot bring your phone into the facility, so your phone has to stay in the car. Pretty much you can't bring anything except what is in this little Ziploc bag that they tell you can bring. So prepare for that. Know what you need. Have your license ready. If something happened with your ID or whatever, fix it. Make sure you have it. If you bring anything into the test center that is not what's written down on this piece of paper to bring in, they will tell you to leave. You will not. They will cancel your test. And you don't get your money back. Like, it's over. Game over. Please pay attention to guidelines and rules. That's so, so important, because my first test, somebody came in there with a bag that they were not permitted to have, and they would not let her go put it back in her car and come back. Like, it was over. They told her she had to leave. It's very serious. Test day is very serious. You'll see a lot of proctors and everyone's really serious, okay? A lot of people are there. So just pay attention, listen, do what you're told to do. These rules are here for a reason, so just do it. It'll help you get through it much easier. The test is about 3 hours. Yeah, about 3 hours. So either you drive there, have somebody drop you off. All in all, that's all I really have for you guys today. I know it's pretty short, but I wanted to keep it concise with my tips and how you guys are, you know, can do better on the LSAT and what I know helped me. I want everyone to help each other out. So if you have something that worked for you, it, you know, gained you points, it just some sort of tip that might work for somebody else, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Help each other out. I know I would have loved that. I would have loved to know what really works for people when studying or getting ready for test day, whatever the case may be. Go ahead and drop it in the comments. I know people will really appreciate that and enjoy that. I hope I helped somebody out today. I hope some of my tips and things, you know, is helping prepare you for game day. Test day is game day, okay? It is game day, game on. You are going to rock it. You're going to kill it. I wish you all 175s and above, and that you get into the law school of your dreams, okay? So go ahead and kill it, whether it's the LSAT Flex or the in-person LSAT, whatever coronavirus deems necessary. Just go ahead and kill it. Subscribe to my channel. Give this video a good old thumbs up if you liked it, which I hope you did. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. You know the drill. This is where we can chit chat. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And I look forward to hearing from you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Goodbye.